We're going to start with a topic that's not necessarily a fun topic. Yeah. So at this point, yes, exactly. We're going to talk about supply. At this point, I'm going to have Colonel Mays is going to come up and talk about logistics and supply first, followed by Major Hamilton, who's going to address communications. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention and take this seriously. There were, I want to say, 15 pages worth of items. Radios, power supplies, just little things that, you take for granted, fingerprint kits, your air conditioning units that are mounted on your wall that you purchased. Things like that are on the inventory that people just forget about. Okay? Oh yeah, I threw that item away. I didn't realize I was supposed to account for it. Things like that. So Colonel Mays is going to come up and talk about this. He's going to kind of address the importance of this. I know Colonel Williams is going to talk about it more when she comes in and does her presentation. She's up talking to the CAC at the moment. So at this time, Colonel Mays.
Thank you. I know some of you don't like to hear from me. Inventory, we've got 28 pages of state property that we need to account for. Some of this stuff came to us as far back as 1986. So trying to find it is a major undertaking. The state property, what they call their PB 5000 or Property Book 5000, gives us a list of numbers. Sometimes it gives us a noun that states what it is. But they very seldom ever put in manufacturer, model number, or serial number. So we're looking for a lot of state property items. Anything that's got a state property tag on it, we need to record the model, make, and the serial number. And if it does have a number, a state property number on there, we need that too. Now this stuff has been scattered throughout the wing for 20 years. We need to get a handle on it. The state is pushing to get an accountability for this 28 pages of items. Some of these items are in ORMs, most of them are not. We're trying to do a cross-reference to narrow it down, and then when I get it narrowed down, I'm going to be sending out a list to the group commanders and the squadron commanders to please help start looking for this stuff. Like I said, it's kind of tough because it says radio or transceiver or power supply, but it's got no model number, no serial number.
Exactly.
Okay? So we're going to need a lot of help there. As far as ORMS, if you're having any issues getting into ORMS, or if you can get in but you can't, it won't let you validate, we need to know that. If you can get into ORMS but it won't let you validate, typically it will let you print out your inventory worksheet. If you can save that as an Excel file and just type in the things you find with OK or validated, and you send that to me, I should be able to get in the system and take care of it for you. And then we will clear up the access issue as we go along.
You also want to know if it's serviceable, right?
We also need to know if it's serviceable, yes. It's got a column there for the drop-down menu on the system says serviceable, unserviceable, serviceable but need repairs, or missing. We hate to see that one. We have found probably, 50 items since you and I took over that were in ROS, or report of survey, stated as missing. But as Brad said, people found it in their closets, the cars, the vans, the squadrons. We're slowly getting those things cleared up. So if you've got an inventory and you've got items that are not on that inventory, I need to know that too. Because things have been shuffled from squadron to squadron and have not been properly documented. Okay? Does anybody have any issues or problems that they want to bring up? Yes, sir.
You mentioned to report issues logging onto ORMS.
Yes.
Squadron commanders go right to you?
They can either come to me, or if it's a login issue, they can talk to Brad, Lieutenant Colonel Sanker. Okay.
Thank you.
Just so long as Wayne finds out about it so that we can address the issue. Now, if in some cases we can actually come out and help you if we're close, but I'm not going to drive from Lee Summit to Cape Girardeau or Springfield to help you do an inventory. Unfortunately, I'm still working a full-time job. So if you have any issues, we'll try to help you over the phone. Like I said, access issues, typically Lieutenant Colonel Sanker can help us out there. He's more IT savvy and has more connections than I do. If you can't get a hold of me, a lot of times you can get a hold of Chief Kirkendall at Wing Headquarters, or you can leave messages for myself or Lieutenant Colonel Sanker.
Yes, sir. We have a comm box. The communications device has been transferred back to Wing. We believe that comm box went to it. We've been putting in recorded surveys for approximately 4 years now, and it currently is under the status of pending. And we were trying to get our inventory complete, and we were trying to find out how do we get it away from pending to, you know, it shouldn't be reported on our squadron if we've reported for 4 consecutive years. We don't have it.
Those are issues that we're trying to get straightened
It's not a
out.
comm box, it's that Pelican case that you and I found with the...
Oh, the Pelican case?
Yeah, the Pelican case. It's got that errant, we got two cases with the same asset type.
Right.
So we're working on it.
We're working on that. I haven't got the second one removed. There's 2 of them. One of them's been taken care of. The other one is an error. It's a duplicate entry.
What we found out, Ed, is there's the same asset tag on 2 different cases.
Oh no, the same case
We don't
just...
have-
We know it, we know it.
Well, it's the same case, but it's been entered twice.
Yeah.
My guy's just reluctant to sign off on the inventory because for 4 years we've been saying the same thing and it's never recognized. So we're just trying to find out how do we
Right.
bring closure.
The problem we have right now is that during the inventory, we can't transfer anything. But as soon as we get this inventory completed, we can go in and get that off your record. Okay? We did find that case, though. The case is actually in St. Louis, and we found that it was dual entry. So one of them we've got cleared up, the other one's still hanging out there.
Thank you.
Okay?
Today, and I'll get that ROS done by the end of the week.
Okay, just, yeah, on your part, just document it was found, it was a dual entry, it was a mistake, and that should take care of it. Okay, any other questions?
Okay.
We noticed when we went to do our inventory that my logistics guy, logistics officer, he has no access to the comm area. He can't enter anything for comm. He can't for equipment and supplies and everything. But the comm section was entirely separate. I, on the other hand, as squadron commander, pull it up, and that's how we ended up doing it. But why wouldn't you let your...
Well, the way the system works is, like, for Ron and I, he is the assistant, and I am the primary for supply. He is the primary, and I am the assistant for comm. And that way, both of them can get into both systems. So they have to have that duty assignment in e-services to be able to access that.
But last year we worked just fine.
Were they posted as both, as comm?
Yeah. Last year he could get all 3 areas and I could get all 3 areas. And this year they split off comm.
Yeah, that's a system issue. Like I said, if you do a duty assignment and make them an assistant for inventory purposes, that'll work.
Is this in comm office?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, well, that-
Yes, that's what we had to do for Ron and I so that we could both get into the inventories. One is the primary, one is the assistant, and he's the primary on comm, I'm the primary on logistics.
John? On the state inventory, just as a comment, many of the Pointer 6000 training rabbits, the electronics DF units, New tech radios and particularly cameras that have been around for a while were all purchased, a lot of them were purchased with state funds, so those are items to look at for a state tag.
Right.
So,
Especially helpers
yeah.
and the training ELTs.
It'll say property of Missouri National Guard, it won't say state of Missouri necessarily.
Okay, Missouri National Guard, anything other than a CAP property tag.
Right.
The spot trackers are state property, but they're also listed, they're new enough, they're also listed in ORMS. Those that are responsible for the aircraft, I believe, Bill, are you having them inventory the stuff that's in the aircraft?
That happens once a year, but yeah.
Okay. So long as we get the stuff that's in the cameras, the spot trackers, the whatever.
Let's talk about those cameras. Not every airplane has one. And,
That's true.
We've been asking for them. What's the deal?
We've only got, what, 2? We've got 2 cameras. It came to my attention about the time I started trying to control this inventory, so I haven't transferred anything yet, but as soon as this inventory is over, I want those cameras out of wing and into the aircraft. But we only have 2.
Well, let me know if you need something done on a particular airplane, but I'm not aware that we're doing anything actively in ORM for this.
Okay.
I probably would be the only one able to get in there and do it.
Okay. Whoever has access to the aircraft, if they could inventory what's in there, the cameras, laptops, whatever it is, SDIS, then send those numbers to me. I can get them input in the system if they don't have access to ORMS to do that. We just need to cover and make sure that radios, cell phone, or the sat phones, the cameras, laptops, anything that we've got is covered.
I'll get with you offline because I think there's more to this than making it sound that simple.
No, it's not simple.
Yes.
It is not simple. It may sound simple, but it's not. Some of this stuff slides by because it's not on a unit inventory, it's not on an individual inventory, and it's just hanging out there. Ron and I have had numerous discussions, so we're going to be changing the way we assign certain items. Instead of vehicles or aircraft, it'll be an individual or a squadron, so that it shows up on that inventory. Yes, sir.
I had an email come through with a list of squadrons complete or non-complete on inventory.
Yes, sir.
And my squadron, it shows that I only have communications and supplies in my squadron.
Yes, sir.
That we were not non-complete. But I inventoried everything in January and it shows up on e-services that I did.
Okay, just send me an email.
Okay.
I'll get it taken care of. I don't think it has a box for NA, but there should be a way that we can get that knocked off.
Okay, will do.
Over the years, people have disposed of things that were broken, no longer usable, printers that couldn't get software to support it anymore. Everything that is disposed of has to come through wing. You cannot just pitch it in a trash can, irregardless of what it is, except expendables. So, if it's property, it has to come through wing to be accessed. Okay, so even if it's just a small portable printer, it still has to come to wing to get disposed of, because some of it is state property and some of it is DOD property, and there's 2 different waste streams there, and there's 2 different requirements. So we need to control that. And we have had, it was like a projector or something that they had gotten. It quit working. It was more expensive to get the bulbs than it was to replace the unit. And they said, oh, well, you know, they threw it away. You can't do that. We have to account for it. And it has to have certain paperwork to show the birth to death documentation. Okay?
One of the things that I've talked to Colonel Sanker already about it, and one of the things I went into the first week of January, so I ran my worksheet for my squadron, I inventoried everything, and I went through and did the inventory. here this last week, I got a note from the group commander saying, your inventory's not done. And I went back to look at it, and in my inventory that was not, these items were not on it when I did the run. And that was the band, 2 VHF radios, and 12 ISRs. They're all accounted for, but they were not listed. Now they're listed. So I went back in, and was going to try to correct the inventory. It will not let me do an annual inventory now. It's got me locked out.
Okay, send me a list of those items with make, model, serial number, CAP ID, and I'll get in there and take care of those.
Okay. But I just thought somebody else, you look at something one time and do the checklist, and all of a sudden it may have changed on you. So.
Right, ORMS has had some issues. I was in it this week, earlier this week, and it just, the screen went bad and it gave me an error, and I couldn't get back in for probably 3 or 4 hours. I was trying to help a squadron commander clear up one of the issues, the transfer issues, and it croaked. So we had to wait until the next day to get it cleared up. But those issues happen, and like you said, sometimes you print it out and it has everything on it, and sometimes it doesn't. So, but they're working on those issues. Right, and we need to know those so that we can transfer or send those issues to Colonel Sanker or National Headquarters.
Best to go straight to National, because that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
He made a comment that was very important. I'll expand upon that comment. You might have assets that are around that don't have tags, that you don't even think that they're CAP. Send us the serial number anyway so we can check. That doesn't mean that we're going to add it in, but that way we can check. We might have had assets that have been sent out to units. Oh, we'll get you the tags as soon as they come in, and the tags never come in, or we forget about it. So if you've got stuff like that sitting around, it should never happen. You're absolutely right. But in the years past, it has. You know, we've got tags that are out there that National sends us the stickers, and come to find out, there's 2 items with the same tag number on it. Okay, so once again, it should never happen. But we've got to fix these errors. We've got to get this inventory cleared up. And if all, I mean, really, I would love by the end of 2000. I know it's not going to happen, but by the end of 2013, I would love to have all these report surveys just gone, cleared out, and resolved. You know, but unfortunately, we've got folks that, you know, have had stuff, been hoarding it, died, and nobody has contact with anybody from their family or can get a hold of it, or it was sold in the estate or whatever. So we've got to narrow this history down and find these problems and take care of it.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, if you've got something that is not on your inventory, we need to know that. Whether it's got a property tag or not, if it's CAP and it's at your squadron or somebody's home, that we need to know so that we can try to match it up with the state inventory and ORMS. Okay? I'm going to turn it over to Major Hamilton.
Okay. Communications, one of the biggest things I'd have to say that what I found out since taking this position July 1st from Colonel Rue is the phrase I had in my boat that says, get in, sit down, shut up, and hang on. Because that's kind of where we're at with communications right now. Seems like National all of a sudden realized, we got these things called radios we're supposed to be using, I gather. So one of the biggest things we've had since doing this position is HFALE radios. Within the first month, I got word from National, said, hey, send me a report here of a concept of what you would want to do for mobile radios, and I'll send you 4 radios. Okay, so I did a little report and sent it in, and concept of what we want to do. We had 4 HF mobile radios show up to install in vans, and so that was one of my first tasks to get that done. Since then, we've got 4 of them installed in the Beast. The Beast is sitting out there, just brought it back from having it checked out, and we've got 2 other vans, I think, out there that has it too. So we've got a total of 5 mobile vans right now with HFALE mobiles in them. So HFALE is one of the things that National's really been pushing on. We had a constant watch exercise here about 5-6 weeks ago. Within our wing alone, we had 8 stations that reported in, so we did a great job on that. We're learning a lot about this system that really a lot of us haven't had training on, so we're getting there. Bear with us. We're kind of learning how to walk again and trying to get the concept going here. So, so we had some good exercises on that. Let's see if I read my notes here. Within that, we were talking to people within NCR. We had messages passed down from National through NCR, so it worked well. So HFLA is coming. We're going to be doing some training sessions this spring, so stand by on that. Our biggest thing is inventory. We got to get this thing straightened out before we can really do much else. iCut is something else that's all of a sudden is really popped finally in the past few months. They're still figuring this out. I just pulled down the evaluator worksheet last night, which is the sheet that says who is actually evaluators within our wing, and it is totally bogus still. It has approved evaluators who are members at less than a year that really have no ES experience, and yet it has people that have been with us for 20 years, former DCs, they're not listed as being evaluators, so it makes no sense. The thing is before you do, once your iCut happens, of course you got to do your online test. Everybody knows about that, right? But once you do your online test, you have to be evaluated by one of these approved evaluators. Well, if they're not in the system as being approved, the system doesn't let the evaluation happen. So if you've got somebody in your squadron or approved members that aren't showing up as being approved, let me know, because I've had to go to National and say, hey, this guy, he needs to be an evaluator. So we're coming through on that. So bear with us on that. National, just like ORMS, the whole iCut thing is still getting worked out. So.
Ron, real quick.
Yep.
How can we tell who's an approved evaluator?
I'll cover that here in the new SET.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's in the thing. You can go into a report and pull down evaluators. Like I said, it's just like he's not
Yeah.
So quick.
You're talking about these HF. Is iCut qualified to use those radios, or is there a hand?
No, the whole iCut procedure is really, and it's not clear on that. You're right. The whole iCut process and the evaluation is only dealing with our VHF and ISR radios. It doesn't deal with HF at all. But you really, HF is a totally different animal.
Is there a hand radio requirement for that?
No.
Or a licensing or FCC thing?
No, technically, if you're iCut and MRO, you should be operating HF. But
I was just going to mention, Ron, there is a new ALE module that's just came out for iCut really recently.
Okay.
I'll let everybody know about that in the training section too. It's not accessing.
It's still changing.
Ever evolving.
Repeaters. That's one of the things that I've been focusing on since doing this job. We have 8 repeaters within the state. 3 of them currently are in op. I found out this weekend, talking to Cape Girardeau, the Poplar Bluff has a hospital there. I'm going to see what we can do with National. Say, can we get another repeater? Because I want to cover the whole Boot Heel area in case of the big one. And if we have a repeater at Cape and Poplar Bluff that's kind of out of the area there, it should get us good coverage in the Boot Heel area. We do have a repeater outside of our wing in Paducah that, of course, we can use. So it's there. But in the case of the big one, we'd pull in portable repeaters anyway. So, case in point here, I have approval at Columbia, the flight service building, the old flight service building where we've been doing training and such. Columbia Airport's given me approval to mount 2 VHF antennas there on that building. We'll be ordering those antennas shortly so that we can use that building there as a base of operations for ES applications. That's a great location because we can fly in, do flight operations out of there. Of course, we've had a lot of training there already. That's where I want to do radio training for us. So having those antennas there, because we've lost Lee C. Fine, that building, which used to be a great training facility, is now gone. So we're going to start using Columbia for a lot of our things. It's part of the earthquake plan, so getting the antennas mounted there, have the coax in place, all we'll do is bring in our comm boxes, hook up the antennas, and we can go. So we're good to go on there. VHF programming. I know this has been a problem we've seen here for a couple of years. We got radios out there with different code plugs. We kind of realized that here about a year ago, just like this radio is different. How'd that happen? So Mike Hackley, God bless his little soul, has been working his little butt off to do VHF code plugs. Come to find out from National that we weren't even right in what we had to begin with. So he's working with National to get this going. We've got to work with SEMA and FEMA people, make sure we got the right VTAC channels in there. He and I were just talking about that last night. So what we're going to be doing is kind of a programming party, if you were. We tried to do this at commanders' calls and at wing conferences. It just doesn't work out. It's so labor intensive. It really has got to be focused on that. So we'll probably be doing a programming party, if you would, probably at Columbia, where everybody, all the comm officers, the group and the squadron comm officers, I want them to gather as many radios as possible. We'll just bring them all at one time and try to knock these things out. Once I've got the group and comm officers, and possibly some of the key squadron trained on this, I'll be getting you the actual cables and the code plugs so that you can keep updated on what you're doing with your radios. So we'll be getting those to you, so you've got those. We've had those cables scattered throughout the wing. I did get a few more sets from National. They I sweet talked them into getting me some cables, so we've got those. So we should have plenty of cables. Once we get the code plugs done, then we'll get you set up on doing those. So do that. Call signs. If you go on the Missouri Wing website, there's a whole call sign application. Call signs are not there that used to be there. I'm not even listed. So it's.
But that's a list you sent me.
Well, MOCAP 4 should be MOCAP 4.
Yeah, should be.
So it's a process of happening. So if you go on there and the call sign list that's on the Missouri, if you don't see your call sign that you used to have, don't worry about it. You still got your call sign. It's good. We're just working through the process here.
But submit an application just so that we can make sure you don't lose that call sign.
If you don't see your call sign in there, go through the process of submitting an application, which is on a pull-down list, so that we can debug our system. We were doing that this week. We found it still got some bugs in it. So inventory, we've covered it. The best thing I can say, if you've got anything, we've said this before, I'll say it again, if you've got anything that's not on your list and it's a radio sitting there, let myself or Colonel Mays know, because we found a bunch of ROS radios out there that, you know, somebody had that we found located. We even found 4 or 5 of them sitting in wing handler quarters a couple weeks ago. So that's a part of it. Future plans that I've got, we're going to be covering this on the finance meeting later on today. I've got a bunch of VHF mobile radios, which are the ones you mount in vehicles, that really do no good if you don't have vehicles to do it, and it's tough to mount them in your personal vehicles. If you've got a car like mine, there's no place to mount it. My Denali, I've got places to do it, and it's mounted there. So the plans are is to use these mobile radios. I want to build comm boxes. Now we've got 3 or 4 or 5 comm boxes floating around the wing that are the big, huge ones. These were made 5, 6, 7 years ago that had 2 VHF airband radio and the old MyCom 2 HF radio, which is non-ALE. The whole concept is to cut that down to about yay side, mount with 2 VHF radios and a power supply so that you can carry it in your trunk. So that we can get out there, get to a mobile location and set up a base of operations simple and easy. So as a dealer for a lot of this equipment, I can get it at cost. So we'll be building these comm boxes using the mobile HF radios, but we need the money for the comm boxes and the power supply, so we'll be talking about that. So that's in the works to do it. The repeaters, we also want to get those going. HF antennas, we have some HF ALE radios out there. If these things aren't being used, folks, we're going to be assigning them somewhere else to somebody who is going to use it. That being said, I know a lot of times we've got HF ALE radios that people are saying, well, I've got to buy the antenna and I'm not going to invest the money into it. So we're also going to be budgeting to get some HF antennas out there too, so that we can use this. Okay, so we've got those going that we'll want to do. And the training, we're going to be doing some more training exercises that we'll try to incorporate somehow with these programming and do that. The iCut actually has been pretty good. I've been pretty impressed with that. It's been helping a lot of our members figure out just the basic how to use our VHF radios, which, you know, a lot of times we didn't even know that. You had your MRL and CUL, you didn't even have to prove that you could use the radio. Now with the iCut you can do that. Used to be the B cut and A cut, all you do is sit through a PowerPoint presentation without even touching the radio and you're approved to use it, which you think about it really was pretty bogus. So the iCut really is a very effective tool and it's great. Quay and I did the training for the Springfield squadrons. It's great to get those people on there to actually use the radio and figure out how to break the squelch on it. So it's a good training program, so by all means use it. And if you got any questions on it, let myself know or your group comm officers. I think that's it. Be patient with us right now. I know a lot of you are wanting some radios. I do have some for Platte City today that I'm going to do that because this was in process before, but I know what's happening with that. So I do have those radios with me, so we'll get those to you afterwards. I've got a bunch of ISR radios. I want to get those things out to the squadrons because those are the things that you can use with your cadets. with very little training, get them excited about using RadioWorks. Just do some basic COMEXs in your squadrons, in your units. We did a communications exercise at Springfield several times where you just do a basic ground team in the middle of a squadron meeting. You assign ground teams, you go out there and say, ground team 1, go to the east side of the building and tell me how many windows are out there. It gets the cadets excited and using radios, and that's part of the process here of getting them going on that. So I want to get those ISR radios out after we get all this inventory squared away. So, any questions at all about things? Because that's essentially about all I got.